All right, hey VC, I'm Jamie. Welcome back. We're back with another video and back with vinyl finds. I know it's been a while since my last video. Life's distractions, that sort of thing. Not that that's any excuse, but it's good to be back. We got a vinyl finds video. This one is likely going to be a long one because, as I mentioned, for records that I pick up, either new or used albums, I do like to listen to them. So I've got quite a back catalog here of vinyl to show you. So I think this one, unfortunately, is going to be a longer video than I normally like to do for these kind of things. So hopefully everybody's doing well, and again, just a thank you to anyone who's taken the time to hit the like button or leave a comment or subscribe. I do really appreciate it, and I do hope you enjoy these videos. Okay, let's start it off with Billy Idol's debut. Now, you don't often see this cover. Billy Idol from 1982 on Chrysalis, of course, has the big hit White Wedding, but usually you see this album, the reissue that came out about a year later. This came out in 82, and then the 1983 cover featured Billy Idol in the leather jacket sort of thing. That one also includes the song Dancing with Myself, the other big hit, which is not included on this one. So that's kind of the downside of having this copy, but you don't often see that cover, so that's kind of neat. Okay, can't go wrong with Grand Funk. And how about All the Girls in the World Beware? Grand Funk on EMI. And this features Bad Time and, of course, the great track Some Kind of Wonderful. Grand Funk. Didn't have this one in my collection. This is Heart and Magazine, and this is a used copy, and this is an absolute mint condition in terms of the cover and the vinyl. This has the hit Heartless, and you almost forget that they did cover Nielsen's Without You and do a very nice job with that one. So there you go. Always great to come across any Joan Armatrading, and I do now have a bit of early Joan Armatrading in my collection, and this is Joan Armatrading and The Shouting Stage on A&M from 1988. I love her voice, just love her albums, and great stuff, Joan Armatrading. Came across some 10cc. Usually you can find 10cc stuff in the wild pretty easily. You'd think this album would be called Are You Normal or The Group, but this album is actually called Look Here. Always interesting album covers. Hypnosis have done a lot of the album covers for this band 10cc. Just always enjoyed their sound, kind of a nice and easy sound. Also, I've always enjoyed the sound of Dave Loggins, and this is Dave Loggins. If you're going to have one, this is pretty much the one to have. Apprentice in a Musical Workshop features the new Dave Loggins album, according to the hype sticker. And the hype sticker on this one is actually it's not stuck on, it's actually part of the artwork, so I'm guessing this must have been a later press. And of course, this has the song Please Come to Boston, which is a lovely song to listen to. And John Cougar. How about some John Cougar? Nothing Matters and What If It Did? John Cougar or John Cougar Mellencamp or John Cougar Mellencamp, John Mellencamp, Johnny Cougar, however way you want to call him. Ain't Even Done With the Night is such a great track. And boy, when this album came out, you could just see his career starting to go like that. Like, doing really well with some big albums after this. So happy to come across that one. Yeah, really happy to come across that one. And yeah, almost forget that this one is produced by Steve Cropper. How about that? Sheila E. from Prince fame, and Sheila E. and In the Glamorous Life. That's such a great 80s track. Interesting, that song is the last song on this album. Sheila E., great singer, great percussionist, great drummer, and yeah, happy to come across this one on Warner Brothers. Okay, now this was sitting in the rack. This was on my wish list for our Record Store Day drop, the last one. Didn't come in, didn't hear anything about it. I'm flipping through records at Sound Fixation and come across Tangerine Dream, Alpha Centauri. I think this was the Record Store Day drop from the last one or the one before or whatever, but this is a double album for this reissue. Tangerine Dream, Alpha Centauri, a new limited edition clear vinyl release cut at Abbey Road Studios, newly remastered from the newly located master tapes. Also includes a bonus 12-inch 45 RPM EP. So there you have it. There's that and that. So again, because it's colored vinyl, we're going to have to take a look inside. Now, I don't know if other people are doing this, but you know how you try to leave the shrink on with a hype sticker, but then if it's a double album, you can't really do that. So I've been just kind of cutting the shrink off at the top. This, you know, at least it keeps the shrink on, but it is a bit of extra work then to get the shrink off and then take a look inside. But been having some success with that, but it is a few extra steps, that sort of thing. So these have been really nice reissues for Tangerine Dream. Lots of information, nice reissue package, and there you have the clear vinyl, and that is the full-length LP, and then the 45 RPM 12-inch EP that is included. And there you have it. So I was shocked that that came in, because a lot of times, at least for where I live or in my area, a lot of the Tangerine Dream stuff just doesn't seem to show for whatever reason. Okay, more used vinyl or previously enjoyed. You might not be familiar with this. This is a band called Roxy. I think they had only one, maybe two albums out in the late 60s on Elektra. This is dynamite. I was really happy to see this, because Roxy featured Bob Cigarini, American who came up to Canada and continued his career in Toronto with solo albums. If you like the kind of the sound of Stephen Stills, that's kind of what that's the vibe you kind of get from this. It's really great, sort of Stephen Stills, maybe kind of with the Byrds or Crosby, Stills and Nash, that sort of thing, or Stephen Stills Band. Great album, and usually you can find this pretty inexpensively because nobody really knows who this band is. But this came out in like 1968 on Elektra, and this is just it's a terrific album. If you come across it, pick it up. And this one came with the original Elektra sleeve, which I don't have too many examples of, so very nice to see. And also came with the lyric insert as well. So yeah, sort of that Canadian connection for this band Roxy with the artist Bob Cigarini, who came to Canada later. Okay, Robert Palmer. I don't often come across this one. This is Robert Palmer, and this is Pressure Drop. And this was, again, Robert Palmer's career, really starting to take off. And yeah, this one's really got a nice sound to it overall, as we, kind of continuing to develop that sort of soul R&B kind of thing. It would get a lot heavier with Addicted to Love, that sort of thing. But happy to come across that. I got a soft spot for Survivor, especially the song I Can't Hold Back, which is featured on this one. So I was happy to pick this up. This is Survivor and Vital Signs. Great late 70s, early 80s rock. I Can't Hold Back is featured on this one, and The Search Is Over as well. So happy to come across that one. Okay, this one I could almost do a separate piece on. This is a reissue of a band that put out, I think, 4 albums, but these are the main 3 that were on Columbia. But again, these are reissues. We're talking about the West Coast Pop Art Experimental Band. So this is the album Part 1. I believe their first album was actually called Volume 1. That was on a small label. And then when they got picked up by the major labels, they called this one Part 1, and then Volume 2, and then Volume 3. In terms of psych rock, these albums are often cited as great examples, and I really love the first 2 albums. This one seems to come up as a real classic in terms of psych. I think overall, I'd have to listen again because there's so much here, and these aren't very long albums. Each one's only about 30 minutes. So this is a reissue series on Jackpot, and these are all in mono. So the first one, original 1967 mono mixes, first time issued, limited color vinyl, and that continues with the second one and with the third one as well. So if it's colored vinyl, we do have to take a look inside. But so much humor, psych, kind of dark in a way, yet also pop in a way but it has that sort of mixture of California pop with that undercurrent of darkness that I don't know if I'm explaining it too well, but these are well worth checking out. And I think there was somebody on the vinyl community that came across an original copy of this, which would just be amazing. So no other inserts or anything like that, but nice colored vinyl for that one. So I'll just put that over there. So that is Part 1. I was going to say Volume 1. And then we have the second one. I love the covers. Love the presentation. These were originally on Reprise, I believe, and so these have been reissued on Jackpot, and they're kind of doing it up like a Reprise label, if you will. And so this is the second one. Just kept it in the shrink, and a nice, kind of Reprise style label. Here's that. And last but not least, the one that actually gets the most attention. Wow. So Volume 3. But man, this is Volume 3, A Child's Guide to Good and Evil. Wow, heavy stuff with these guys. Like but it has also that pop, and they do a cover of a Frank Zappa track on the first album. And this stuff came out, gosh, like in, like 66, 67, 68, that sort of thing. So worth checking out. Didn't know that they were reissuing all 3 volumes. I've seen this one available on Music on Vinyl as well, but hadn't realized that they were reissuing all 3. Oh, okay, so let's just slip that back in like that and carry on as best we can here. Okay. I'm an idiot. I admit that. Pick this up. Oh, wow. John Paul Jones. How cool. John Paul Jones from Led Zeppelin fame's got solo albums. This is a different John Paul Jones. And even just looking at it initially, I thought it was John Paul Jones. I know John Paul Jones generally plays bass and keyboards, but I know he does play guitar as well. But no, this is a different John Paul Jones, an American, I believe. But happy to pick this one up, and I didn't, pay too much for this. This has got kind of that folky country rock sound. I don't think this artist had too many albums out, maybe because of the confusion, shall we say. And this came out in the 70s, I believe. But and I think he's still around. I understand it goes by just J.P. Jones, probably to avoid any confusion. But no, the other John Paul Jones. But it was kind of a happy mistake. I did enjoy the album. It's definitely a good album for sure, if you like that kind of folky country rock sort of thing. Okay, some early Canadian music. This is an artist by the name of Shirley Icard. She did songs that were covered by Anne Murray. She had really just a wonderfully deep, rich voice. It Takes Time was one of her big hits. She's had hits through the years, and she has the hit that was covered by Bonnie Raitt later. Something to Talk About was a song by Shirley Icard, and she was only 16 years old when she put this album out. Kind of discovered, or in the early days with Anne Murray, or Anne Murray really gave her a shout out as well. And so yeah, Shirley Icard, some Canadian stuff on Capitol Records. So I was really happy to come across that one. Okay, we'll switch gears. How about Scorpions Worldwide Live? I mean, it's rock and it's Scorpions. Nice double album live. Really happy with that one. Here's an album by Spirit I was not even familiar with. So this is Spirit past their Columbia days. So this is Spirit of 76, Randy California and Ed Cassidy. This is a sprawling double album. I'll see if I can spotlight the tracks here. The cover is a little bit worn. It's definitely been previously enjoyed, but wow, this was something else on Mercury when Spirit was still going on. So this is a double album, but it's gatefold, but both the albums fit inside here. So this is wild stuff. Worth checking out. Spirit and Spirit of 76. I don't know if you can even make that out. All of the artwork there. How about some blues? Coco Taylor. I don't often come across Coco Taylor LPs, some CDs, but this is Coco Taylor, From the Heart of a Woman, and this on Alligator. She did some great stuff on the Alligator label, especially when she was really given some blues rock sound on the Alligator label. Great blues label. So happy to come across Coco Taylor. And more live stuff for you. How about Commodores and Live, a double live album. Commodores, it's pretty much got what you want. Easy, also Brick House, Just to Be Close to You. Can't go wrong. Double live, Commodores. And came across this one at a sort of a garage sale. One fellow has been selling off some of his vinyl locally, and had this one from an RSD day a while back. Otis Redding and Live in Europe on Volta Records, the Stax label. This is a 50th anniversary mono issue. Never thought I'd be able to come across this one. Fantastic. With respect, of course, that was written by Otis Redding, but I mean, can't turn you loose. You cannot go wrong. And these Live in Europe performances, which I think on CD has been extended with more tracks and whatnot, but oh, so good. Just the energy just leaps off. Okay, this is a reissue, Cowboy Junkies, absolutely one of my favorite records. This is the Trinity Sessions. So this is a double vinyl version. This is really alt country, very moody country. I love their cover of the Lou Reed song "Sweet Jane." "Misguided Angel," beautiful song. It was sparsely recorded at a church in Toronto with basically one microphone in the center. If you don't have this, pick this up if you really like that sort of alt country moody kind of stuff. Margot Timmons lead vocals. Now, when this originally was issued on vinyl, it was a single album, and then the CD came out, and that was definitely like late 80s when there was, you bought the CD because the CD had extra tracks. Now, thankfully, with this double LP, they have all of the songs from the CD, because the album originally, the vinyl one, did not include their cover of Blue Moon Revisited, Song for Elvis, which it's hard to imagine that song not part of this if you have the original vinyl album. So this is the fairly recent music on vinyl reissue of the Cowboy Junkies, the Trinity Session classic album on 2 LPs, including the 2 bonus tracks that were originally on the CD. So really thrilled to come across that. Okay, got some Mott the Hoople. Picked this one up a while back. I haven't had a chance to show it. This is Mott the Hoople live at Hammersmith 1973, 2 album set on Madfish, and this is just... it's got, of course, one of those instructions, I think, somewhere on here, of play it loud. That generally seems to be the idea for Mott the Hoople records. So this is just, it's absolutely terrific. Of course, with Ian Hunter, fantastic. Mott the Hoople. Live at Hammersmith 1973. Good stuff. And then early Mott the Hoople live on Columbia. This is pretty much the standard early Mott the Hoople live stuff. Hammersmith on one side and then Broadway on the other. I understand the CD version of this is available where you can get sort of more tracks or more full performances. But again, just great stuff with Ian Hunter. And also, I never come across early Mott the Hoople stuff, and this is Mott the Hoople and Mad Shadows. So really happy to come across this one on Polydor, and a very odd best of Mott the Hoople that I have never seen before, Rock and Roll Queen. And again, this is on Island Records, which features pretty much early Mott the Hoople, before their sort of Columbia days. And yeah, so happy to come across that. Okay, another reissue. I've had this on CD. This is just terrific, and it was kind of like, why don't I have this on vinyl? I saw it in the rack sitting there and had to pick it up. So this is Jimi Hendrix Blues. So this is like a compilation of a lot of the blues or blues-inspired stuff that Jimi Hendrix has done, including Catfish Blues, Born Under a Bad Sign, Bleeding Heart. This one has an expanded booklet with extra photos. The CD's always been terrific. It's a single CD, but a double LP. Really happy to pick this up. And this has been out for a little bit, but yeah, of course, the Experience Hendrix label. Okay, how about some UB40? I don't have a lot of UB40 on vinyl, and picked up Jeffrey Morgan. And this one on the DEP International label. Yeah. I was going to say late 80s on this one. Something like that. Or no, 1984. So this has been shortly after Red Wine and some of those hits. Really cool compilation that I picked up. This is a Columbia compilation called Heavy Sounds. This is not KTEL. This is, a label compilation on Columbia. And check out the track listing. You've got Ball and Chain, Big Brother and the Holding Company. Blood, Sweat and Tears, God Bless the Child, Electric Flag, Killing Floor, It's a Beautiful Day, White Bird, Taj Mahal, Duck Diving Blues, Johnny Winter, I'll Drown in My Tears, Michael Bloomfield and Al Cooper, Albert Shuffle. And it wraps up with Mungo Santa Maria and doing a version of James Brown's Cold Sweat, which is just off the charts. So just a nifty compilation from like I want to say the late 60s, maybe early 70s on this one, but wow, really happy to pick this up. Terrific compilation. Don't have any Steel Pulse. I came across a Steel Pulse album, reasonably priced, snagged it. Steel Pulse and Babylon the Bandit. Great sound and really a nice shape, plays great, and fantastic on Elektra. Steel Pulse, nice. Okay, I picked up this album, thrilled to have it. The vinyl is not in great shape, which is why it was fairly reasonably priced, but ultimate Spinach and Behold and See, great psych stuff. Weird vocals on some of the tracks, but if you get through like the first track, then you're kind of on board. It's a psych classic, but as I mentioned, the vinyl is not in great shape, and even the cover's okay, but it did even come with the original sleeve in terms of just showing the variety of stuff that's available on MGM Records. So, happy to own it. As I said, the vinyl is not in the best of shape. Obviously, previously enjoyed. That sort of thing. Okay, how about we'll switch gears, and how about some Dead Kennedys and Bedtime for Democracy. This, of course, a reissue, and of course, it's Dead Kennedys. What can you say? Kicking it off with Take This Job and Shove It. I mean, this is just fabulous, right from the word go. Dead Kennedys. Okay, I've seen online a number of Saga albums. Saga, great Canadian prog band, very keyboard driven, but a number, not all, but a number of Saga albums on vinyl, at least on Amazon, are quite reasonably priced, including this triple live set. This is a Saga and Detour, and they've been reissuing a lot of stuff of Saga on vinyl. For the first time on vinyl, reissued with enhanced artwork and personal liner notes by Jim Crichton, remastered for vinyl in 2021, 180 gram. But this is like a 3 LP set, and it's terrific. As it features a lot of the great classic Saga stuff. And it's interesting, the write-up here from Jim Crichton saying, in 1996, the technology became available for the band to record this album without using a mobile recording studio. We had to record multiple concerts because this technology was so new, it would occasionally overheat and stop recording halfway through the show. Can you imagine? The album was recorded on the 1997 European tour, and the post-production for the record was completed at my studio in Los Angeles, California. Jim Crichton. So very cool, and this is reasonably priced, or at least it was last time I checked on Amazon. Okay, I love the vinyl community, especially when you get other channels showing great stuff. There's the fella out of Toronto, Brian, I believe is his name, and his channel is called Embryo Robot. I believe he's fairly new to the vinyl community, but he showed this album, a band I was not familiar with, came across this at a vinyl sale, and it's like, yes, thank you. So again, Brian, thanks so much for showing this. A Toronto band, you think maybe they were a French-Canadian or a French band, L'Étranger, and the album Innocent Hands. And this came out, it's an independent release. It's pretty much like an EP. There's only 6 tracks on here, featuring Andrew Cash, who would later go on to a solo career as well. So it's kind of punk. I don't know if you can quite describe it as that, but it's got that punk feel to it. And recorded in 1982, and yeah, the EP came out in 1982. But this is a rare classic Canadian find for me, so really happy to come across that. Okay, let's switch gears to the band I was not familiar with. Got this for next to nothing. The band is Blue Magic, and Message from the Magic, kind of R&B, soul, not very funky. And with this, it's really kind of leans towards the disco kind of sound on Atco Records. Not too bad, but worth checking out. A band called Blue Magic. Okay, there's that. And what else have we got? Another reissue. This is David Bowie and Pinups. I don't think this is a recent reissue, but I never had this in my collection in terms of vinyl. Remastered heavyweight 180 grams. So this is just full of, and I don't know why there's a number 43 on the back. I didn't pay $43. I paid less than that. But this one is kind of David Bowie's album of covers. So there you go with that. Okay, this is a unique find. This is a soundtrack to the album Tough Guys, featuring Isaac Hayes, composed, conducted, and performed by Isaac Hayes. It's called Tough Guys, but it's from the movie Three Tough Guys. But it's got that Isaac Hayes sound, so it's pretty cool. Always love to come across any Jack Green albums. Jack Green of the Pretty Things, and just a great, nice rockin' sound. So this is Jack Green and Mystique. So yeah, very happy to come across that. Here's an Alan Parsons Project album that I never had, and this is a pretty decent album. No big hits off this one, from 1987, and I think this was getting towards the end of the sort of the Alan Parsons Project thing with Alan Parsons and Eric Wolfson, but a pretty decent album. But I did not have this on my collection in vinyl, and usually Alan Parsons Project you can find it pretty inexpensively. Okay, reissue. I've talked about this band before. I've got a sort of a CD box set, it's sort of like a mini CD box set that features there are a couple of albums from this band, Mighty Baby. Get albums from this band. So there's a reissue. I still don't have the first one on vinyl. This is from the late 60s. Mighty Baby, A Jug of Love. And it says, evolving from London mod act The Action, Mighty Baby signed to Parlophone on the reputation of their live sets, featuring Alan King, guitarist Alan King, along with bassist Mike Evans, Roger Powell, and Martin Stone, along with a keyboardist sax player Ian Whiteman, joining after. Their 1969 debut is great heavy psych. Their sophomore set, A Jug of Love, took the semi-acoustic form, blending bluesy folk and a touch of North African spice into their psychedelic prog. And that's got a fairly accurate description. It's starting, it's definitely a different sound from their first album, but that psych thing is still there. But man, this band is just absolutely blowing me away. Again, a band it's been around for forever, a band I wasn't familiar with, but it's always a wonderful journey into discovery, discovering more bands from the 60s that I wasn't familiar with. But I don't have the first one on vinyl, but I came across the second one, Mighty Baby, A Jug of Love. So happy to come across that. Just finally finished up a B.B. King biography, or a B.B. King autobiography. It's written by somebody else, but it's basically in B.B. King's words, and it was quite an amazing journey, B.B. King. So I actually just came across this one recently, Indianola, Mississippi Seeds, and interesting cover. Great album. This was an album I wasn't totally familiar with, and really enjoyed it. He's got some special guests on this album. Again, the cover is a little on the worn side, but Carole King is on this album. Also Leon Russell, Joe Walsh, to name just a few. Fantastic. And there you have it. So B.B. King on ABC Dunhill. Okay, moving right along. I saw this one in the racks. I do have this, but this is Genesis and Trespass. But this is I believe, if my memory serves, yes, this is a UK copy, and it is gatefold. Often I come across this album not gatefold when they did the sort of, cheaper reissues of it, but the beautiful inner sleeve there, and this is, yes, in fact, a UK copy on a slightly later press on Charisma, but couldn't pass that up in terms of having a UK copy of that one. This is a reissue of Can and the album Future Days, remastered limited edition gold vinyl, their fifth album, originally released in 1973. Generally, if I see any Can, I will pick it up, and as mentioned, these have been really nice reissues, and they've been also reissuing Can live stuff, undiscovered or previously unreleased live stuff, which is absolutely terrific. But there we go. Pretty cool vinyl on that as well. Okay, what else have we got? Okay, a couple of Jogun records. This is Jogun and Jumping the Gun with, the cover and then the inner sleeve here, and then we've got Jogun, Jojo Gun. I've been saying Jogun, I apologize. Jojo Gun, Jumping the Gun, and Jojo Gun. And this is the album, So Where's the Show? Great vocals, kind of an offshoot of Spirit with Jay Ferguson, but with a bit of that, rock and sound, great vocals, but with a bit of glam going on as well. So happy to pick that stuff up. I always do like Holly's albums. This is the Hollies, and this is the album A Crazy Steel, an album I wasn't even familiar with. No real big hits off this one. Alan Clark with the band. Alan Clark has kind of been off and on with the band. Tony Hicks as well. And when you get, the vocals of Alan Clark, it just, I love the vocals in the mix of that. Writing on the Wall is kind of a ballady song that starts it off. That's really nice. Nice saxophone work by Tony Coe. Interestingly, Pete Wingfield plays piano on this album, and one of the tracks Boulder to Birmingham, is produced by Alan Parsons, strangely enough. Very odd cover. and an equally odd back. I'm not quite sure what they were thinking of this. A crazy steel, but then it's this whole self-serve thing. I really don't know what was going on with that. But from 1977, as I say, those Hollies vocals I just enjoy. Okay, picked up Supertramp, and this is Brother, Where You Bound. This is the first album, if I recall, post Roger Hodgson leaving Supertramp. A terrific album. It's a shame that they couldn't have continued the momentum that they created with this album, because especially when you got one of your big lead vocalists leaving, it's hard for a band to carry on. But they do so really well with this album. Cannonball's a great track, and this album's a lot more prog than sort of what Supertramp had been doing with It's Raining Again and kind of that Breakfast in America thing. They kind of got back to their proggy roots with this one. It's just a shame they couldn't have just really kept it going. But really, it's a great album. Well worth picking up. So if you're a Supertramp fan, don't pass this one up if it becomes available, which it's usually, you can find this in the wild from 1985. Okay, how about this one? Didn't even know about this album. This is a KGB. Okay, this is Mike Bloomfield. We got Carmen Apiece, Rick Gretsch on this one. Not a bad album, not a complete standout, but when you got a cast of characters like that, when you got that kind of an ensemble playing, I don't know how many albums they released offhand. I don't think they released too many. This one on MCA, but you know, when you get anything that Mike Bloomfield's involved with, you're going to get some good stuff on here. So nice to come across that one. Modern Jazz Quartet. I picked up a couple. This is Modern Jazz Quartet plays One Never Knows, original film score, No Sun in Venice by John Lewis. And I believe this is, yeah, definitely a UK copy because it's got that kind of that fold over thing going on. So there's that one. There's Modern Jazz Quartet at Music Inn with special guest Sonny Rollins. Now Sonny Rollins only appears on a couple of tracks, but this on Atlantic. Very nice. Happy to pick that up. And one of their many reunions, this is the Modern Jazz Quartet Echoes 1984 Together Again. So very nice. Canadian band that's got kind of a pop or a folk pop thing going on, but the band is Original Cast and One Tin Soldier. So this is the band that had the original hit with One Tin Soldier in the movie version, Ode to Billy Jack, or I can't even remember the title of the movie. It's escaping me now. Terrible. That's a different version by the band Coven, or Coven, I should say, that do that. But the song is originally attributed to Original Cast, One Tin Soldier. So it got just a ton of radio play over the years, and also from this, Mr. Monday was also a radio hit in Canada. So this is Original Cast, One Tin Soldier. Really that kind of pop thing going on. They went kind of more of a country thing for their follow-up album Back Home. No big hits off this one, but I was happy to pick this one up as well because I don't often see this one. Okay, maybe just a few more. We got the J. Gals Band and the album Bloodshot. This is like their second or third album. J. Gals Band have so many albums out, but if you're going to have one of their early stuff, this is definitely the one to get. Bloodshot's a really nice record. It is just rocking from start to finish. Really enjoyed that one. And finally, after all this time, I've got New Riders of the Purple Sage. This is the best of, so this really focuses on the Jerry Garcia time with the band. He wasn't with the band all that long, but I was happy to pick this up because I never really seemed to come across any in the wild. So this is on Columbia, early stuff with the New Riders of the Purple Sage. This is an album that gets revered in the VC. I've seen Derek Higgins show it, and I never thought I'd come across it because it looks very intriguing. This is the album inspired by Lord of the Rings. Music inspired by Lord of the Rings. It's by a Swedish artist by the name of Bo Hansen, and this was put out on Charisma, hence a write-up by Tony Stratton Smith on here. It's predominantly all instrumental, and this is, of course, long before Peter Jackson and all the Lord of the Rings stuff, so it's all sort of the idea, it's an interpretation of various scenes from the book. I was a little underwhelmed by it, and this album's not in the best of condition. Maybe this one's going to take repeat listens, but this is highly revered. Like, I've seen this shown a lot on the VC. Thrilled to come across it, but was a little underwhelmed by its presentation. But as I say, maybe I got to listen to it a little bit more. Canadian band, how about this is the Stampeders and the album New Day. The Stampeders have great country rock records, and what I always liked about the Stampeders, they had that sound, but then it was always the rock side of country predominantly. I mean, you know, Sweet City Woman, they have some nice kind of country-ish style hits and pop hits, but when they wanted to keep rocking, they kept rocking, and especially on this one, Ramona is a nice rocking tune, Wild Eyes, yeah, great stuff. A Canadian band from out west, Stampeders, and the album New Day. This was an unusual find. This is an artist called Sofia Bay. This is a reissue of her first album. Her first album came out, I think, in like 1970, so this is a 1980 reissue with a completely different cover. But Sofia Bay, kind of from a sort of a musical background, it's kind of that jazz kind of thing going on, but as I say, sort of from a more musical background. But yeah, happy to pick this one up. This on the Pickwick label, so I would say this is probably like, you know, the typical inexpensive reissue, but an artist worth checking out, and has also been honored with a Canadian stamp as well, Sofia Bay. Okay, gotta like some Blue-Eyed Soul. How about Hall & Oates live? This is live at the Apollo with David Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks. How great does that get? I remember when this album came out, though, I think it was like still a popular album, but Hall & Oates had so many big hits that I think this one was, as I recall initially when it came out, was a bit of a surprise because I think people were wanting more hits, but they really do quite a tribute to the sound of the Temptations on this one. But this is a great live album. Hall & Oates live at the Apollo. Definitely well worth checking out. Okay, how about the band Orleans? And this is Orleans and Forever. Love Takes Time, a great pop hit from this band. Orleans also had the hit Still the One. Still the One's not featured on this one, Love Takes Time. After this one, I think the hits started to dry up a bit. But from 1979, Orleans and Forever. Canadian band, Glass Tiger. Didn't have this one on vinyl. I have this one on CD, Glass Tiger and Diamond Sun. Great kind of pop rock stuff from the 80s. Diamond Sun. A lot of big radio hits. Diamond Sun, I'm Still Searching, My Song. My Song, they're featured the Chieftains that play on that one. Watching Worlds Crumble was also a big hit, led by Alan Frew, a Scottish Canadian vocalist. Just nice stuff. And, you know, as I say, it was pop, but they could rock when they wanted to. If you will. And a band that is still going, Glass Tiger and Diamond Sun. Okay, a Sandy Nelson album. You often find Sandy Nelson records at thrift stores, and this is Walkin' Beat. Another great Sandy Nelson record. Can't go wrong. If you like that drum stuff. Here is an unusual pickup for me. This is Peter, Paul, and Mary, or just Mary. So this is Peter, Paul, and Mary when they all decided to release solo albums, and they released them sort of in a uniform look. Well before the Kiss solo albums that had that uniform look, they did this as well. So the albums were Peter, Paul, and then Mary. So this is their solo debut album. Very nice. I mean, it still continues in the sort of the folk vein, and yeah, pleasure to come across this one. I've never seen this one, but good stuff. Okay, so that's going to do it for this one. Thanks so much for dropping by. Take care. Bye-bye.